You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. The miracle that is technology, and we're here by way of miracle. I can't believe it. There's no other way to describe what just happened this morning, and that we're here doing this show right now on CKLU 96.7 FM. CKLU.ca. You just go there. We're on the radio, on FM, old school. We're also streaming audio on CKLU.ca. You can just click on the Radio Player Canada logo, stream us anytime of the day. You can also download the Radio Player Canada app by clicking on the logo and downloading it, and take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're also live streaming video on youtube.com/Sudbury News, facebook.com/Sudbury News, and you can like, share, subscribe, follow, all of those social media type things, and get the word out there, and allow other people to come in and have the opportunity to comment, just like you are. And we encourage you to also comment, because that's this is your show on your station. And we've been doing this now for a little bit over a year. It's our year anniversary, I think March 16th, something like that. So it's a little over a year. We're grateful to be able to bring you Sudbury News Talk each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. And we've kind of got a little bit of a group of us each day, and it's growing, and we're grateful for that. And sometimes it takes time to grow. But today we're going to do a little deep dive into a bill that could stop this conversation from happening and the show. And we'll have some comments from people that are talking about this in the House of Commons. And hopefully we're able to, wrap our minds around what's going on in our city, in our province, in our country, and in our world. Because some really interesting things are happening. And I have a feeling we're going to come back on Monday, and it's just going to be a little bit different of a world than it was today, because a lot of things are going on this weekend. And I got the same feeling in 9/11 when that happened. Right away, as soon as the plane hit and I saw that on the TV, I said, our world is never going to be the same. And it wasn't. And then the same thing with the pandemic, when we heard the news of what was going to happen, and we were promised by our fearless leader, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, that we only had to lock down for 2 weeks. Just trust him. It's only going to be 2 weeks. And I knew that was not going to be the case. And I knew our world again was not going to be the same. I think this weekend, and I could be wrong, and I hope that I am actually, but it just seems to be one of those weekends. So we'll talk about maybe why I feel that way, and do a little deep dive, and how Bill C-11 could be possibly part of that reasoning. Not that it's going to go ahead and it's going to implement by Monday, but other things are attached to it. We'll get into that. The Renee Sweeney case, the verdict came down yesterday, and so we didn't have a chance to talk to Billy about this particular thing, and he's in the studio this morning, and so we'll have a chance to talk to him and what are some feelings he's had about that. And then many other stories that we're going to unpack from Sudbury that's been going on. And so grateful that you're with us. David, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Stay safe. I appreciate your tagline, so to speak. Good morning, Monique. Thanks for being with us as well. As Vin, morning. Yeah, morning to you as well. Judy, good morning. Best part of the morning. Wow, that's great. It is the best part of my morning for sure, being with all y'all and discussing the stuff. Great morning, everyone. That's from Dennis from Sudbury, but living in London. Thanks for being with us. Wonder if Bill C-11 will fast track censorship or tiptoe a little by little. That's the thing. If we oppose it and stand up to the nefarious elements of it, maybe it will have to tiptoe. Thank God it is Friday. Yes, Belinda, thank you very much. And it is Friday. And with that, Friday, it's not usual that we have Billy with us, but he is with us and he's in the studio. How are you doing this morning, Billy?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Good. We missed you yesterday.
I like your lead in. Yeah, I kind of missed. Yeah, sorry about that. I had a nice. I kind of woke up after a good sleep in, and I. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything worked out, and everything is for a reason. If there's nothing you could do to control something, and you actually missed a good show yesterday, so we had a really great conversation.
I kind of flipped through it. It was,
a
lot of good info on it.
We got through, and it was thanks to the comments that come through on our on the feed. So I just want to encourage everyone to continue to comment today, because your comments really do make the show what it is, because it is your show. So beginning with that, there's a bit of a weather warning, and so not every day. Vin says, LOL. At Billy. So yeah, it's not every day we have a weather warning. So we want to get into what that could entail. Then we have some sports headlines for you, and then we'll be back. Do you want to see how the Sudbury Cubs did last night, Billy, while we're on the weather? Sudbury Cubs.
Let's take a look.
So if you can check that for me, I haven't had a chance to check, because I was doing all this technical weirdness this morning. If you guys knew what I had to be doing this morning to get this show up and running, wow, it's incredible. So anyways, we'll be back. Enough of that, with some weather, sports, headlines, Billy, and your comments right after this. As usual, Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Currently, it is -5 degrees, but it feels like -10. And I know we had a winter warning yesterday that I heard about, and it was kind of messy, and I was expecting it to already be happening. Thankful that it's not, but some snow today, then a winter storm tonight into Saturday. So it said it could have been as early as this morning, so I guess it's happening later. Tonight into Saturday, snow and ice pellet accumulations just in time for the weekend. Happy weekend, everyone. 20 to 30 centimeters. Are you kidding me? 20 to 30 centimeters? Reduced visibility due to heavy snow and blowing snow, freezing rain, and ice accretion of 2 to 3 millimeters possible. Strong wind gusts up to 60 kilometers per hour. Snow this morning into the late afternoon. Winter storm overnight tonight into Saturday afternoon. So 2 weather systems will affect the area over the next 2 days. The first will move through today, bringing 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. Thank goodness. I haven't had enough snow this winter. I'm just hoping that it can continue. There will then be a brief break in the precipitation this evening before a second and much stronger system moves in overnight. Depending on the track of the system, some areas will see heavy snowfall while others will receive significant ice accretion. Strong winds are also expected, and combined with the ice accretion, hope I'm saying that word right, could produce utility outages. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. This is a weekend where I definitely need utility. I have a huge conference that I'm looking forward to that we need electricity in order to see. It's a worldwide conference that I see twice a year that I look forward to and I need. So if a power outage is going ahead, that's really going to put a kibosh to that. Anyways, there remains some uncertainty at this point to the placement of the heaviest snow and freezing rain. Warnings may be issued as the event draws nearer. And I will be hoping and praying again that it passes us by like that first storm they were predicting where there was up to 50 centimeters of snow. And then a few days later, they predicted another storm, and my hopes and prayers did not do anything for that because we did get pounded the second time. I'm hoping maybe this one will pass us by. Rapidly accumulating snow will make travel difficult over some locations. Visibility may be suddenly reduced at times in heavy snow. Surfaces such as highways, roads, walkways, parking lots may become icy and slippery. So Public Safety Canada encourages everybody to take precautions according to the conditions. Stay tuned to your weather channel and anything weather to find out more about that. And if you're traveling this weekend, you may want to look at your plans and replan things. Okay, so that's that. So Saturday, snow at times, heavy ending late in the afternoon, then clearing. Snow mixed with ice pellets and freezing rain in the morning. Local blowing snow. Accumulation of 15 to 25 centimeters. Wind gusting up to 60 kilometers. Temperature falling to -7 in the afternoon. Wind chill -16 in the afternoon. Long range forecast. So then Saturday, we already talked about that. Sunday, cloudy, 0 degrees. Monday, chance of rain showers or flurries, 60% on Monday. High of +7. Tuesday, cloudy with +1. Wednesday, periods of snow or rain, 60%. High of +5. So a lot of precipitation here at the end of March and the beginning of April. So March comes in like a lamb and out like a lion, I think as the saying goes. And it's definitely true this year. There's no doubt about that. Look at your satellite overhead, and if we get it to work, it's usually clunky. Not sure why, but that's the way that it looked yesterday at 3:30 p.m. And who needs to see a satellite image whenever we already have talked about what's going to happen? Anyways, that is your weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with sports and much, much more. Billy's in the studio, your comments, headlines, all that stuff. We'll be right back. All right, Sudbury Sports brought to you by SudburySports.com. That is Randy Pascal, who is that Sudbury Sports guy. It's his website, and visit it for all the latest in Sudbury sports. Speaking of Sudbury sports, the Sudbury Wolves were in action. First game of the playoffs, first time since 2019. They were in Peterborough, facing off against the Peterborough Petes. Corey Stillman and the gang, former Sudbury Wolf, defeated the Sudbury Wolves 4-2. It was a close game. The score doesn't really show what happened in the game because it was a close game, and they got an empty net goal. 2 goals called back, one for the Peterborough Petes, one for the Sudbury Wolves. Sudbury Wolves led 1-0 and then 2-1. And then it was 3-2 for much of the third period until the Peterborough Petes got the fourth goal. So unfortunately, the Wolves are down 1-0 in the best of 7 series. They go back for a rematch tonight against the Peterborough Petes Friday tonight in Peterborough. You can catch that game on Eastlink TV. If you don't have Eastlink, you can catch the game right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. I'll be in charge of making sure that game is on the air tonight, monitoring the game. I watched it on Eastlink last night, along with I like listening to the play-by-play from our Sudbury play-by-play on CKLU, and I turn the volume off on Eastlink, and then I sync it up, and I like watching the game that way. Anyways, let's get back at her. We should have won that game. It was our game to lose. We came out with guns a-blazing, and great effort by the boys. So unfortunately, we came out on the wrong end of that stick. No pun intended. It's hockey stick. Anyways, Billy, game last night, Sudbury Cubs against the Espanola Paper Kings. Were you able to find out the score?
I did. You want to take a guess? What's your
I think
intuition?
Sudbury beat the Paper Kings 3-1.
Close. It was 5-3 in their favor.
Oh, it was
So you got
the
the
same
spread.
same spread. Yeah, not bad. So Sudbury Cubs are moving on to the next round of the playoffs, defeating the Espanola Paper Kings 5-3. Wow, there you go. So that wasn't a bad guess, I got to say. Hopefully I'm wrong on my guess about this weekend.
Yeah, you're wrong about the in like a lion, out like a lamb.
Oh, it's in like a lion, out like a lamb.
Yeah,
No?
that's correct. I think you had it the other way around when you
Yeah.
said it, in like a lamb, out like a lion.
Well, this year it's in like
this
a lamb.
year
Oh,
it's
you're-
flipped.
It's flipped. Exactly, yeah. Well, thanks for clarifying that, because that's exactly what it is. It's flipped this year. In like a lamb, out like a lion, and April's beginning like a lion. Anyways, crazy stuff. The Five are in action this weekend as well. So if you want to get your tickets for that, Saturday, Sunday, back to back against the same team, the Kansas, I always say Kansas, the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans are in town, and they're facing off against our Sudbury Five. Tip-off time is 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Get your tickets 2 o'clock on Sunday. All kinds of festivities always surround the Five games. It's always a great time. They're going for their 7th win in a row on Saturday if they win, and then they're going to go for their 8th win in a row on Sunday. So all kinds of great sports going on in this city. Make sure to get your tickets for the Sudbury Wolves this Tuesday and Wednesday back-to-back games. Hopefully they pull out a W tonight. They come in to these two games with 1 win apiece. That's all we can hope for now. Sudbury Sports brought to you by that Sudbury Sports guy, who is Randy Pascal, and his Sudbury Sports website, sudburysports.com. We'll be back with headlines, much, much more. Billy, and your comments right after this. Okay, Billy, what's the word on the street? Any word on the street?
The word on the street. Are you talking about the vibes that you're feeling this?
Yeah,
this
are you getting the
impending
same?
weekend?
Are you
Well,
getting the same vibes as I'm getting? Or
You
what's
know,
going on?
yeah, my feelers have picked up a little bit of, heightened anxiety, I guess, with the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's get to some of these comments first, and then there might be along what we're talking about. War is at our doorstep. Watching globally after the media censored nothing is nothing out. Guess what's next? Nothing in, nothing out. Okay, got it. Sorry about that, Denise. Nothing in, nothing out. So war, that's pending all over the world. We're pretty much in shorts and T-shirts here in London. That's Dennis. Thanks for rubbing it in, Dennis. We don't appreciate that. But anyways, I'm just kidding. Green grass, no snow. Yeah, that's what you get, living in down south. And that's what you get for living in Sudbury. Good morning, Cliff. Thanks for being with us. So we're just talking about this ominous feeling, that I guess Billy and I are both feeling, and maybe all y'all are feeling somewhat the same. What's going on in our world? That just seems to be some huge undertakings going on here in Canada. We've just kind of getting through this pandemic, and there's the Emergencies Act. There's all kinds. Everyone's kind of on different sides of the fence, and every issue known to man. So if you see all these divisive things that are going on in our society, it's not just you. And you could be on different sides of the fence. So what's happening is everyone has a different point of view about all of these topics. So it was Donald Trump back in the day. How did you feel about Donald Trump? That really divided families, divided friends, it divided communities. Just what you felt about the U.S. president, for crying out loud. And then there was, how do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement? Which side of the fence do you feel the media was pushing that a little bit too far? the LGBTQ plus. There's the movement there. Do you agree? Do you got to go along with the drag story times and things like that? How do you feel you end up on that? The gender identity thing. Do you feel it's okay to be 8 years old and be in charge of whether you cut off certain genitalia that you have or get things added, and you're old enough to make those decisions? I think as early as 6 years old in some cases. Do you think that's so? Again, it's all these things going on around us, and now whether someone should wear a jersey or not. There's so many more issues going on, and now in the United States they've just said that they're going to, is the word indict, the former president Donald Trump on charges, and it will be the first time in history that this has happened, and it just seems like things are kind of unraveling over there. The U.S. dollar has just been, so there's that. That's a huge thing. We could have a lot of time to talk about that, because what's happening is that he's the front runner in terms of the next election, and now you have it's a possibly politicized, which I do believe it is, politicized movement to arrest the political opponent of the one in charge. And so this is what you see in totalitarian communist countries where they arrest their opponents. This has never been done in the United States. And if you look at the charges, they really kind of had to really be creative on the charges there. So that's a whole discussion. That's a whole day of talking. And you can go to Legacy Media and see those discussions happening. There's also the U.S. dollar has just lost its it was in charge. It was the backbone of the whole world economy for so many years, and just lately Brazil, China, Russia, these countries that have been up and coming just announced they're not going to use the US dollar anymore. And so now that for our world is a huge game changer. It means power is now shifted to other countries other than United States. And there's so many people that hate on the United States, have hated on the United States, and sometimes for good reason. But they definitely were the police of the world due to the fact that their money was being used. And so their ideology was also enforced. And now you're going to have a switch in that. You'll have other ideologies now at the forefront being enforced with the economy and the backbone of the economy. Huge game changer, not really discussed, especially in our Canadian media. There's crickets on that one because I don't think we really have discussions like that in this country. We're so used to just keeping on the discussions we're supposed to have. And but we will get into one of the ones that we should be talking about, which is Canadian, which is Bill C-11, which goes along with, this whole controlling the conversation in our country. It will give the government agencies power to control which media agencies are allowed to function and which ones are not, what you can say and what you cannot say. And they're always presenting it, and they usually do, as a good thing. It's for Canadian content. They're saying we really do need to give Canadians, monetary or whatever, whether it's money or whether it's credibility or whatever for having their content. But it's not that way at all. It's just for government to control the narrative. Any thoughts on the Bill C-11 thing, Billy?
Do you have the details of what's it kind of entails?
I do.
Yeah.
I have like a 20-minute long video, which we won't have time for on the show. Maybe I'll put it in the comments. We do have an exchange in the House of Commons on that. We'll have that a little bit later. So, long-term implications of a party controlling the tongues of those that oppose them is not freedom. Correct. And we have seen, it's not new in terms of something that's been done in other countries, mainly the more socialist communist countries, where freedom is not allowed, or at least they have a version of their freedom. Belinda says the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men and women do nothing. Canadians need to stand and be heard. I appreciate that comment and agree with it as well. Trudeau, pushing Bill C-11 through, needs our undivided attention. So all those comments coming from Belinda, thank you so much on those. Will digital ID be required to be deemed Canadian content? Possibly. Yeah, that's what I mean. These are the questions we want to know. What does it mean to be deemed Canadian content? Will Jordan Peterson be deemed Canadian content, do you think? Or will he somehow, they find a way to, because he doesn't say what the current administration in our government wants him to say, then that's not Canadian. You've heard Justin Trudeau say that certain Canadians are thinking things that are just, what does he say again? It's a small fringe group who have ideas that are unacceptable.
Right, unacceptable views, I think.
So unacceptable views, will they be allowed? And unacceptable to who? Or to whom?
Doesn't sound like it if they're unacceptable.
Yeah. And they never say what they said. You ever notice that? They never said, well, you said this. And that's the unacceptable things you're saying are these. They just make blanket statements and they're good to go. And now that they're basically, they are paying for journalism in this country already. Like CBC is already totally paid by our taxes. So they're totally paid by the government. So they have to totally say whatever the government wants them to say. And then you have other legacy media who are given millions and millions and millions of dollars from the government through tax breaks and through incentives. So why would they say anything against the government? You don't bite the hand that feeds you. So they already have the tentacles into and local. They have a local journalism initiative where they pay local journalistic outfits money. And why would they say anything against the government, right? So we already have this. So it's going to just get a little bit more interesting. That's the efficiency of a broad bill. That's correct. And apparently they don't want to debate it as well. They just don't want to have a debate on it. And that's a curious kind of a thing. You don't want to debate on censorship. That just in and of itself tells you something, right? I'm so disappointed in our country, our future, and for our children. Looks like what? The future locked up. No future locked up. That's from
I think one
Denise.
of the problems with the system too is, we don't really understand how it works. Like, we feel this way. There should be like a very easy way to communicate, like to the government, how we feel about this. But I mean, it takes a certain amount of effort, and then you got to write a letter. It's like, well, do we know who to write a letter to? This petition. It just seems these channels, they take a bit of effort, and I guess sadly we're sort of conditioned to, not really embarking on that journey of kind of finding out. But because I did run into a buddy last night who's been down in Ottawa, and he was working on preventing a bill going through, and he was sort of telling me about it. And he's involved in politics, but he's doing a lot of calling. A lot of this was in federal, so he's calling his fellow, not constituents, but I guess party members.
Yeah.
Truthfully, the conversation kind of went over my head, but that just goes to show it's like, okay, yeah, I really have very little understanding of how things work. Like what's a good way to communicate.
For sure.
But that'd be something. If the system had some kind of little bit more of a public interface that people could directly notify that the government, they don't think this is a good idea.
Oh, definitely. And this is the thing. Never in history have we had the technology to make something like that happen than we do now. You know what I mean? Like I remember having a discussion, I think it was maybe 8 years ago with yourself. And you had said, because we've had discussions on, these world kind of agendas that are going ahead for globalism and things like that, and taking down borders and having just one kind of homogenous global kind of totalitarian world. We know that there's factions out there that want that, and there's a huge movement towards that. And you had said the internet will stop that from happening. The internet is going to liberate everyone. And you remember what I said to that?
I don't recall.
There are ways to also regulate the internet and make it, the same thing. So it's not that, I don't think the internet alone would do that, I think. And we see that right now. There's a push to even make the internet not be that liberating kind of tool or
obviously
platform or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I still stand by my statement.
Yeah,
I'm
for
not too concerned, because I think the big, this era right now is all about, we're getting this sort of like these two factions, and they're both trying to, what's that word? Noam Chomsky always says, manufacture consent.
Manufacture consent.
They need to bring
exactly.
people to their side. So a lot of these things, I think, are sort of kind of media operations. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of this extremism is actually not, really accurately portraying reality.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think, we're probably going to get fatigued with it at some point.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably just going to expose that this is going on. And wouldn't that be nice if the people got united and said, hey, look what these people are look what they're doing to us. Let's just cut this out.
For sure, but they're dividing us too, though. So if we were united, would be able to do that. But what they've done is they've factioned us off into, I might agree, another thing that we polarized us too was the whole pandemic. That was a big one. So you had Donald Trump before the pandemic that was already kind of sifting everyone on one side or another. And then the pandemic hit and you were on one side or other of the mandates or the vaccine. And so that polarized everyone. And then you had the gender issues that was coming out that polarized more people. And then the race thing and then all these things, which are war tactics, by the way.
Yeah. Don't you think eyes are popping open right now?
Yeah, they're war tactics to weaken a country so that way you don't even have to use a bullet, and they'll just fight amongst themselves, and then you can then come in and use your own dollar economically. So you weaken them economically, socially, spiritually, all those things, which we see is going on. And it's division is, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. Give me a break. The oldest saying in the world, and that's what's going on here. But they use, again, the same tool, this internet that we think is going to liberate us, to fight amongst each other on. So we have freedom of speech, but freedom to fight each other, which is counterproductive. It really doesn't help anything at all.
I disagree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fighting each
I think
other.
the polls will actually show that people are actually getting more united on issues.
I hope so.
Than ever before. But I think the important thing is, we are going to continue to exist in that world if we're oblivious to something that's going on. Basically, something has to happen to have the people become aware of this thing that's going on.
For sure.
And I think, compare the world now to what it was 10 years ago. I think there's a lot more people kind of, suspecting something's up.
And then there's a lot of people who still kind of just dig in their heels and just kind of
that's part of the process.
Take whatever's given to them.
That's just part of, sure, there's always going to be some people in that, but I think, we're talking a major chunk of the population.
Well, watch this. So Lee D. Roy, love the name, says we're not allowed to think anymore at work. So this is a huge thing, right? This is where people work. This is awesome. Just sit here and look like Trudeau. So Dave also says, so to clarify, does it matter which government is in power? They still control the news media? That one I like because you're right. It doesn't matter which party you are in. However, if you were to take a poll of CBC, the CBC media in general, and you ask them who they voted for, I guarantee you there might be 1% that voted conservative. So does it matter which party is in power, who controls the media? Even if the Conservatives are in power and they try telling CBC what to do, even though they're funding them, if everyone who's working in there is a certain political point of view, you then have a little bit of a fight pushback. And I've heard CBC, when Harper was in power, they actually did journalism. And I was like, yeah, so you didn't really notice how partisan they were, because you're journalists. You're actually finding out things that are wrong with the prime minister and holding them accountable. That's what journalism is supposed to do, but that's because they were liberal. And then as soon as a liberal leader gets in, they stop holding the leader accountable. Same thing in the United States. Did you see just the frothing at the mouth of the media when Donald Trump was in there? If you had the same frothing at the mouth for Joe Biden, it would be incredible. If you had that same, maybe not making up lies against the leader, like that's not cool, but actually just trying to hold them accountable, trying to find things wrong with them. That's what the media is supposed to do. But as soon as Joe Biden gets in, it's like, everything's good now. It's like, no, no, you gotta do journalism, for crying out loud. Okay, so Denise says, our gatekeepers laugh at us from town halls. We are weak. If every hall was full, I believe we wouldn't have got this bad. Yeah, again, doing something instead of doing nothing, correct? The previous 3 years of paid media pushing propaganda, all while claiming those exposed facts were the ones pushing the propaganda. Imagine doctors, lawyers, and even just live streams not being seen. How different would we be sitting today? Correct. Lee D. Roy says, "Hey, Billy."
Hey, Lee.
Belinda says, "Well, Trudeau investigated himself and has decided that he has done nothing wrongful. Pays to have good relations with relatives." So that's Belinda. No, yeah, that was Belinda. Denise says, "No news, only dictation and rules and consequences. We deserve what's coming. It's sad, but look at us. Look at the schools. We let adult males dressed in drag preach to us and our kids, or preach to our kids." And Denise also says, parenting program for supplemented people. Oh, simple-minded people. Sorry, my eyesight. Oh my goodness, I really apologize to you guys. Parenting program for simple-minded people. Denise also says, remember Yellow Vest, sorry. This fight has been exhausting. Okay, yellow vests. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Rita says, people are aware they are ignoring for now. So people are aware they are ignoring for now. Denise says 30% of Trudeau, and he's acting like 100%. Okay. Lee also says, shaman gets released yesterday in the United States. Remember that the guy who's dressed like the shaman in the February 6th so-called insurrection, and they arrested him. And then video was released where it shows the police taking him door to door, and then letting him in. And he was saying a prayer, asking Heavenly Father to bless the police. And that came out, and that's nothing like was shown to the American people. Well, the day he's released is the day they indict Donald Trump, kind of thing, which is interesting. He gets no accolades or anything. Dave says, as the CBC is controlled, but the Toronto Sun is okay because it's conservative paper, we should stick to Fox and Rebel, which we know is the honest news. I do sense your sarcasm there, Dave, and I appreciate that because I do feel the same as you. Media should be media. Media shouldn't be one side or another. It shouldn't be, hey, conservatives are gods and you just got to do everything just for conservatives. It needs to be topic by topic, principle by principle. Doesn't matter what party you're in. It's what you're talking about. And that's what we're trying to do on this show. I hope you get that sense that we're not one side or the other. However, we do have a heavy liberal. You mentioned two. You mentioned the Sun. You mentioned Rebel. Now, how many could you mention that are not on the conservative side, right? We have a heavy leaning towards the left. Does Rebel have a news radio station that goes in every single community of our whatever that gets heavy funding from our government? Rebel doesn't get that. Sun doesn't get that. Correct? So then you have CTV, owned by Bell. Bell's a huge corporation. Then you have a Global, right? You have... So Post Media, by and large, seems to be one of the ones that, even though its Sun is attached to it, seems to have both sides. I see both sides on Post Media, which would be the Sudbury Star. I really do see both sides happening there. I see people who lean a little bit conservative, people who lean a little bit liberal, and that's what I like to see. I like to see both sides. And so, to some extent, I do. I listen to CBC probably more than anybody. I'm in my car all the time. What do you think I'm listening to? Well, CKLU and CBC, because there is no alternative. So I'm trying to get the news stories as they come out, but I'm always hearing the liberal slant on it because I'm aware of a slant. There's just no doubt about it. I hear what they leave out. And I have always believed, like you, Billy, full transparency, that a reporter should say what their political leanings are. I am a liberal leaning reporter. AJ Walsh coming to you live from Sudbury News. I'm a liberal leaning reporter, and here's my story. And that way you can hear if there are any biases in there, and they admit it right out. They shouldn't come out and say they're, just don't say anything at all and say we're unbiased news, because it's not true. It's just not true. So I thought at some point, it's kind of like there should be a law or something where reporters have to reveal who they voted for last time, or who they have a record of voting for, or just admit somehow they're leaning.
I think that might be the responsibility of the viewer, though. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. People are susceptible to spin. They always have. Look at World of Worlds back in the day.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think that's the only way we're going to move forward, because to create more laws about that, and that's pretty tricky. But I think, if people sort of just build more of a habit of saying, okay, I'm not going to take this 100%. I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to go listen to that. Okay. Get a few sources. Be open to hearing different sides of the story. I think kind of societally, that's, we're far away from that right now because we're sort of moved to our silos. So, that's going to be, there's always a huge reckoning when you live in your silo for too long. So,
yeah, well, we'll see though. We're going to listen to a little exchange between the Liberals and Conservative leader. But breaking news, thank you, Claire. I did not even realize this. My father passed away on Tuesday, but I just found out about it last night. So I was kind of dealing with that last night, and so I only looked into the news so much. So thank you for letting me know that, and that's a sad day if it passed. My dad passed away, and so did Bill C11 pass last night, and that's crazy. InfoWars, I still like Alex, that's Lee. We need to hold the truth. We need to be told the truth, not lies from the news. So, okay, thank you very much. So that's what Dennis is saying too. It's like, but how some people don't have that ability, and that's what the news is supposed to do. It's supposed to be that layer of watchdogism. It's not supposed to be propaganda. Propaganda is propaganda. You can still do propaganda without news. News is supposed to be, press releases are propaganda from an organization. Look, we think this, and then people are supposed. But then when you get the news, who's supposed to be the watchdog against propaganda, to also have propaganda, now you're just asking for it. Okay, so Belinda says the only positive aspect of this is more tyrannical Trudeau. Tyrannical Trudeau, it's got a ring to it. Gets the more light than is being centered on evil doings. Okay, let me go over this again. The only positive aspect of this is the more tyrannical Trudeau gets, the more light, that's like you're saying, Billy, is being centered on his evil doings. Light up the darkness. I like that saying as well. Media needs to go back to reporting facts in capital letters and leave opinion at the door. That is true. And this show it's news and views. So we're unpacking the news. We do have our views. We're not claiming to come out and we are news reporters. However, if you are claiming to be a news reporter, you're right. You have an obligation. We're here to unpack it, discuss it, talk about it, all those things. So just facts, unredacted, unedited. Let the people decide for themselves. Haven't seen that since the 80s, maybe even before that. CNN on every TV provider, and Fox News you have to pay for. Exactly. Yeah. Is that interesting? Yeah, you get CNN included in your subscription, your basic subscription of TV, but you have to pay for Fox. That tells you something. So you can't just be flipping through, and if you haven't subscribed to it, actually hear some things you're not used to hearing. The other side is what I'm talking about. And it may be biased, but at least it's the other side, and that gives you two aspects to look at. Sirius Fox channels 114. Who funds them? Yeah, exactly. You have to look at who funds who. Who made who? Who made you? Who made God the devil? And who made who? Who's that again, Billy?
It's AC/DC.
It is.
I think whenever you say that, my answer is always AC/DC.
Yeah, no matter what, you get the right answer. Okay, so won't be able to see much anymore with the new bill. Yeah, our show. We don't know how long we're going to be around. I guess we'll just. It was a fun ride for a year. How about that? Seriously, you think the Sudbury Star is not biased and isn't a conservative paper? Okay, I can see you're very political, Dave, and that's great. And I can see possibly, or I'm getting a sense, I hope you're seeing that we're trying to discuss and trying to find out, and we all want real news. We don't want bias. We want transparency. We want facts. We don't want to be biased. We don't want to be influenced by bias on any way, shape, or form. We want the real news. And so, yeah, that's where we are. I don't know if I need to pound the pavement as much as I am already. But what I've found is I've went to school. I don't know if you have, but all my schooling in public relations, communications, I'm currently enrolled in a master's program to get myself as educated as I can in journalism so I can look out for these kinds of things. I don't know if you have as well. And my whole life is about transparency, finding the truth, not having people be brainwashed by our own tax dollars with our own media. So that's what I'm here for. And it looks like just as I'm getting on my soapbox, I'll be shut down because I won't be considered Canadian. Because my views don't fall in line with the current Canadian administration. So, Dave, if you feel that everything is okay and whatever, and something wrong with a conservative side of media, well, you're going to have your wish. And if I'm right, I won't be here in a year. So that's just the way it's going to go. Unless we stand up and fight for all Canadians so that we're all able to have our own points of view, which I think God gave us the right for, and that is a truth. We are not God. We don't have the ability to put power over another person. God gave us equal power so that not one person had the ability to have power over another person. And I stand for that. If I stand for that, it means I'm standing for you. See how cool that is? To stand for that principle means I'm standing for you. I'm standing for everyone. I'm standing for the fact that I am no better than you. Isn't that a great position to have? It's not what we're seeing in our world, and it's not what we're going to be having in our future. Unfortunately, the way things are going anyways, unless we do something about it. Happy you're a liberal reporter. Happy you're a liberal reporter. Haha. I'm a true liberal, actually, if you look at it. I'm open to new ideas, and I want progression of our society. If something's not working like traditional conservatives would do, conservative means you want to keep everything the same all the time. Actually, no, I don't want to keep everything the same. I want to keep the things that work good and then build off those and have change and move into the future with change. That's actually a liberal, if you think of it in its true context. I'm not, we can't change this, we can't change that, we can't change this, we got to keep everything the status quo. There's no way. But nowadays, if I said I was a liberal, it's because now everything's painted with a brush, right? You're left, you're this, you're that, because it's dividing us. We're all divided. Does that explanation make sense? Conservative means keep with traditional, don't change. And liberal means, hey, you're open to ideas and you want to progress. That's where the word progressive comes from, right? Okay, let's look at this exchange. We'll be right back. In the House of Commons about Bill C-11. Apparently it's passed anyways. It doesn't even matter. But here you go.
To get on the right side of things and support Quebec and Canadian culture. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Is no culture without freedom of expression. Just to point out the disinformation from that member. He says all artists support this. Well, even Margaret Atwood, no conservative, has said that this bill represents creeping totalitarianism. Creeping totalitarianism. It gives the power to a woke agency, the CRTC, named by Liberals, to manipulate social media algorithms in order to shut down voices it does not want people to hear. When will this government realize that Orwell's 1984 was not an instruction manual?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, these are the same old talking points from the Conservative Party, and it happens to be the same talking points of big tech. Mr. Speaker, why don't they finally stand up to the big guys in big tech in this country and try to do what we're doing and making sure that big tech is going to be paying their fair share to Canadian artists, Canadian producers, you know, to our local media. But instead of standing up for Canadians, these folks are standing up for the Googles, etc. Mr. Speaker, I ask them to come onto the right side and please support Canadians and people who produce these content.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
And therein lies the problem. The government will get to decide what is the right side of the debate and shut down everyone they consider to be on the wrong side. Let's be clear. This bill doesn't hurt big tech. They'll still monopolize all of social media. Their platforms will still dominate. It's just that government bureaucrats will be able to manipulate the algorithms to shut down the voices of individual Canadians. Top experts on freedom of expression online say that, and so does Margaret Atwood, who calls this creeping totalitarianism. If the Prime Minister is not afraid of debate, why is he so determined to shut it down?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
The reality is that right now the tech giants are not paying their fair share. And 71% of Canadians agree that they should be doing so. And this is the reason why, that's why we are making sure that we have C11 to deal with this job. We know that the web giants must do more. Mr. Speaker, more for our culture, more for our local media, more to protect our children. That's exactly what we're doing. Why are they against that?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Favor of freedom of speech, Mr. Speaker. It's very simple. Big tech has no problem with this bill. They'll keep making money hand over fist because of their oligopoly. The government doesn't want to break up that oligopoly. They've been sucking up to big tech for the last 8 years. What they want to do is shut down debate. Mr. Speaker, Canadians want the freedom to express themselves without government control.
Ask the Honourable Member to put his prop down, please. I think he's been around long enough to know what a prop is. I don't have to explain it. The Honourable Member has 7 seconds left.
It is a book, and it's still legal, Mr. Speaker, at least for now. When will the government stop its attack on freedom of speech and freedom of expression?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, like the member opposite, the Leader of the Opposition, I have dedicated my life to ensuring that free speech occurs in this country. The holding up a book and pretending that this is about anything other than making sure that big tech pays their fair share, that they pay their fair share to our artists and creators in this country, trying to pretend that there's anybody in this House who believes anything other than free speech. It's the very reason that member could go all over the country and say all kinds of nonsense that I disagree with, because we have free speech in this country.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
We do for now, Mr. Speaker, and I want to assure him that as long as we have free speech, I'll keep beating that party in debate after debate after debate.
Okay, so that just gives you an idea of what's been going on in the House of Commons. And I guess they passed the bill anyways, so not much we can do about it. And just for the record, I've just shared everybody's comments along with the video, so that way we can get them in for the show on the radio. I'm sorry that you wouldn't have heard them last, but not least, please, next you're going to, this is from Dave, seems to want to have Dave, you're welcome on the show. I think you'd be a great guest. Please, next you're going to say that you're not biased. It's just your viewpoint. So obviously, if you're on the show enough, you know that I do claim that I do have a bias. And I just said that I'm a liberal. And that, but nowadays it seems like the more the wording in the news that's out there is so skewed and whatever, and so you could come across as a conservative. We all have bias, so I'm not going to say that. Sounds like you're a bit confrontational with your, what is it they call them, trolls? People that are trolls that come on and just try and stir things up, which I appreciate because it gives me an opportunity to speak to you. So I'd like to invite you, Dave, on the show. If you have a camera and a mic, it'd be really great to have you on, because even though, this is what I've done, 2 hours every day, volunteer of my own free time, went to school for it, continue to go to school for this, and created this platform, this show. I will give you the time of day to be able to have your point of view shared. It seems like you have a different point of view, and I want you to come on the show. That's what we're doing here, just to show that. So you are welcome. So all you have to do is email me at sudburynews@gmail.com. Tell me which day you'd like to come on. I'd love to have you on, and I'm saying that respectfully and honestly. It's just that comments like that, they take up my mind and my energy in my mind, unfortunately, of just keeping the conversation rolling. So I'd like to be able to have that discussion with you. So thanks everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Dave, for having your opinion, which is an opinion. And I have my opinion, and that's what we're here. It's news and views. Sudbury News and Views. We're not journalists. We are taking journalism, we're taking the news, and we're unpacking it every single day with a conversation, which as long as we're able to do this legally and not be considered a terrorist, which we will be probably, coined a terrorist and saying hate speech because you're saying what you think. And that's just a prophecy I'm making to you, Dave, among other people. That's probably what's going to end up happening. But anyways, Billy doesn't agree with that. So
cross our fingers that doesn't turn out to be.
Yeah, exactly. So Billy is ever optimistic, and that's why we have him on the show, amongst other reasons. So thanks for being with us, everyone. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily, but catch the Sudbury Wolves tonight, 7 o'clock against the Peterborough Petes. You catch that game right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, to coin another Dave phrase, with all the weather that's coming. Have a great weekend, everyone, despite the weather. Ciao.
Cheers.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.